I was listening to a recent Oxford lecture by Yuval Noah Harari about AI, and I kept pausing, not because I thought he's wrong and I have the answer, more because I kept thinking that we should be asking more questions before even considering to accept his framing. So this video is not a takedown, it's merely an attempt to slow down the conversation. One of the first claims is that AI is not a tool, it is an agent. And that sentence sounds powerful, but I want to pause right there because it hides a huge assumption. Why are those two categories mutually exclusive? Why can't something be both a tool and agentic at the same time? To me, the word agent describes how a system behaves. It can perceive inputs, process information, and act. But tool describes its role in relation to us as humans, because a tool is something humans use to achieve some kind of purpose. Those are not opposites. A thing can act within a system and still be a tool. I would now propose a test, just to show you that my thumbnail was not clickbait. Suppose I build a robot arm using only conventional programming, no AI at all. I program it to detect whenever Harari says the word agent and immediately slap him. It perceives an input, follows a goal, and acts accordingly. Is it an agent? If the answer is no, then what exactly is missing? If the answer is yes, then we had agents long before modern AI. Industrial robots, autopilots, lane assist, and thermostats. So maybe AI has made tools more capable, more flexible, and more autonomous. But why does that mean they stopped being tools? Harari then gives the example of a coffee machine. A normal coffee machine, he says, isn't an agent because it follows a pre-programmed routine. Fair enough. Then he imagines a coffee machine that learns your habits and starts making your coffee before you even ask. He argues that this is much closer to an AI agent. And I actually agree, up to a point. I completely agree that the second coffee machine is more sophisticated. It adapts, it predicts, it learns from your behavior. That's genuinely different from simply waiting a button press. But here's the question I would ask. Why does becoming more sophisticated make it something other than a tool? Now let's imagine a coffee machine built without AI. It simply records the last 30 times you made coffee, calculates the most common time, and starts preparing it automatically. No neural networks, no machine learning, just conventional programming and a few statistics. Is that suddenly an agent? If not, why not? If yes, then we've had agents for a very long time. And guess what? They were also tools. People have always seen them as tools and didn't stop for a second to consider, what if there's more to my coffee machine than meets the eye? This is why I think we need to be careful with the definitions. If every system that observes, adapts, and acts becomes an agent, then the category becomes much broader than modern AI. And if that's the case, then AI didn't introduce agents. It introduced far more capable systems that fit a definition we could already have applied decades ago. Notice what I'm not saying. I'm not saying modern AI is just another coffee machine. The capabilities are extraordinary, and that's precisely why we don't need to exaggerate them. Calling AI a tool doesn't diminish it any more than calling the internet or GPS a tool diminishes those technologies. The real question isn't whether AI is amazing. It's whether our language is keeping pace with what we actually see. You might wonder, why am I making a fuss over what might seem like semantics? Because words matter. Harari says that himself later in the lecture. And I think the way we describe a technology shapes the way people understand it. If our language is either careless or maybe aims to distort things for whatever reason, people's mental model will, of course, be impacted. And when we are talking about a technology as important and powerful as AI, I think precision isn't optional, it's essential. AI is already extraordinary. It can help us learn, write, code, analyze, create, and solve problems in ways that would have seemed unbelievable just a few years ago. None of that requires us to exaggerate what it is. In fact, I think the opposite is true. The more honestly we describe AI, the more people will understand it, trust it, appropriately of course, and learn how to use it effectively. To me, one of the biggest risks isn't just what AI becomes. It's how people perceive AI today. If we consistently describe it using language that makes it sound more human than the evidence currently supports, we shouldn't be surprised if people start treating it as something other than what it is. Clear language doesn't make AI less impressive. It makes us better equipped to live with it. Later in the lecture, Harari says things like AI bankers will decide whether you get a loan. AI judges will decide whether you go to jail. Corporate AI will decide whether you get a job. Military AI will decide whether to bomb your house. Here he gets a bit dark, but I'm guessing that, again, because fear sells, that's why he focuses on these particular examples, which I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about. We should, but we should be very clear how we decide to approach them. When hearing all of this, to be honest, my first reaction wasn't he's wrong, that's impossible. My first reaction was, why is he choosing those fear-triggering examples? And why is he stating them with such confidence? Then I thought, it's a prediction, so let's treat it as one. Is this inevitable, probable, or simply one possible future? My second question, and I think this is very important, was about responsibility. Even if AI systems become deeply involved in those decisions, like Harari is describing, who chose to deploy them? Who designed them? Who defined their objectives? Who decided they should be trusted in the first place? Saying AI decided can sometimes obscure the fact that humans designed the system, delegated the authority, and remain responsible for the outcome, unless not taking ownership and avoiding responsibility are the exact goals. Then, after coming up with those dramatic examples, Harari says something like, now put aside whether this is good or bad. But that's exactly where I would struggle. If we are talking about loans, jobs, prison sentences, or military decisions, I don't think ethics is a side issue, is the issue. If we are to take these examples seriously, then we must note that they have profound consequences for people's lives. And I don't think we should set that aside at all. I think we should confront it head on. I must say, I find it super weird when well-known people drop claims like that, then fail to deliver the evidence. Maybe Harari is right about some of these predictions. Maybe he's wrong about others. To follow his approach, I could now say that's beside the point. Then move on to other things. But I won't do that, because my main concern is with the confidence he's expressing these ideas. I believe that when we are discussing technologies that are changing the world so quickly, we owe people careful definitions, clear distinctions, and the humility to separate what we know from what we suspect, and what we suspect from what we simply imagine. So I would like to leave you with the same question I was left with after watching the lecture. Are we describing AI as it is, or as we imagine it might one day become? Because the way we answer that question will shape not only how we think about AI, but how we choose to build it, regulate it, use it, and ultimately live alongside it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.